Right now on Morning News Now, a stunning twist in the prosecutions of two longtime targets of President Trump. This morning, ex-FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James no longer facing criminal charges after a federal judge found prosecutor Lindsay Halligan had, quote, no law to present either case. Now the Justice Department vowing to fight back and defending Halligan, who was handpicked by the president.
We'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal. Lindsay Halligan is an excellent U.S. attorney, and shame on them for not wanting her in office.
We'll take you to Washington for the latest developments, the reaction from the White House, and what happens next. Also this morning, war of words. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth singling out Arizona Senator Mark Kelly after he was featured in a video with other Democratic lawmakers urging members of the military to refuse illegal orders. More on the investigation now underway. Plus, the nightmare before Thanksgiving. This morning, severe storms across the South threatening millions of people's holiday travel plans with heavy rain, dangerous wind, even tornadoes. We are tracking the conditions, the warnings, and what to expect before you head out the door. And seasonal stress. That's right, Thanksgiving just 2 days away. For some, the traditional turkey dinner comes with a side of uncomfortable conversations. We will unpack the pressures of spending the holiday with family and what you can do to help make it a happy holiday for all. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Thank you very much for joining us on this Thanksgiving week. Joe is on assignment. We're going to begin our show with a setback in the Trump administration's efforts to prosecute former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. On Monday, a federal judge tossed out the criminal charges facing both of President Trump's longtime political adversaries. In her ruling, the judge dismissed both indictments on the grounds that the prosecutor who brought the cases, she's on your screen right now, former Trump attorney Lindsay Halligan, was not lawfully appointed. The Justice Department says it will appeal the ruling. Now, Comey was indicted on charges of making a false statement to Congress and obstructing a congressional investigation, while James was indicted on charges of bank fraud and making a false statement to a financial institution. Both pleaded not guilty. In a statement, James said she was heartened by the ruling. Comey also welcomed the decision, posting this video on social media.
Grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump. The message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American.
In a few moments, we will hear from NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. But before that, we're going to bring in our legal affairs reporter, Gary Gremback, and our legal analyst, Misty Maris. Good morning to both of you. Gary, I will begin with you. Just walk us through these rulings that we saw by the judge. Tell us a bit more about why these cases were tossed out.
So this is all about something called the 120-day rule. An interim U.S. attorney cannot serve for more than 120 days unless being confirmed by the U.S. Senate or being kept on by the district court. And the guy that President Trump had appointed at the beginning of his term had already run out that 120 days. And what the judge found yesterday was that Lindsay Halligan cannot start back at zero on that 120-day clock when she was picked and appointed by President Trump without being confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Because of this, what the judge ruled was that the indictments, which were put down on September 25th for James Comey and in October for Letitia James, were both thrown out with prejudice, meaning they could be brought again if a lawful U.S. attorney is put in place in the Eastern District.
Missy, let's bring you in here. What is your reaction to the judge ruling that Halligan was unlawfully appointed? Explain that a little bit here. Like, what was the problem with her being in this position? And then also, what does this mean for her position? Because, by the way, she's still U.S. attorney, interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia.
Yeah, so the rules allow for the executive branch, for the president, to appoint an interim U.S. attorney for 120 days. Now, U.S. attorneys have to be confirmed by the Senate. That didn't happen in this case, so we know Eric Seibert had that position. He was in that position for 120 days before and that it was actually extended by the judiciary, which they can do. But he resigned after that 120 days had actually lapsed. So what the Trump administration has argued is that either there was a new 120 days when there was a new interim appointment, or after the fact, they called Lindsay Halligan what's called a special prosecutor. Now, the court rejected both of those arguments, saying that if this 120-day rule weren't actually enforced, it would allow the executive branch to make these placements without ever having to go through the Senate confirmation process.
Meaning, like, every 120 days there's somebody new?
Correct, that they would never have to go through the Senate process because they could just always circumvent that issue. So that's what the court pointed out. And when that 120 days is over, to the extent there's a vacancy, it's actually the judiciary, it's the judges in that district who would make the appointment. So that's the defect here. And the result of that defect is that those indictments, because Halligan was the only signatory to them, she was the only attorney who presented them to the grand jury, those are actually thrown out. They're void. They don't exist because her appointment was invalid.
Had we crossed that bridge before? This, like, keep using the 120 rule to sort of put who you want in there?
So actually, there's another case going on in New Jersey, Alina Habba, that the same issue is at play, whether or not her appointment is valid. So this is an issue that's going to go up on appeal, whether or not it's a technical defect, which, again, because the judge's rationale would say it's not. It's actually an important constitutional barrier for abuse. So this is the issue that's going to go up on appeal.
Very interesting. Gary, what's been the reaction from the Justice Department to these rulings? We know they're going to appeal, as Misty just said. What do we hear?
Yeah, as you can imagine, the Trump administration is not thrilled. They do say they are going to appeal, and they're standing behind their woman at this hour. The Eastern District of Virginia website this morning still says Lindsay Halligan is the U.S. attorney in the district. Here's what Attorney General Pam Bondi said yesterday.
We'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal, to hold Letitia James and James Comey accountable for their unlawful conduct. Lindsay Halligan is an excellent U.S. attorney, and shame on them for not wanting her in office.
Now, to put a fine point on it, legally speaking, there is no currently legally valid U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. Judge Curry said yesterday it is up to the Eastern District itself, the court, to decide who to put in that position.
So, Misty, how does that mean that an appeal moves forward? First of all, what does the Justice Department need to, like, show or prove? Do they have a credible shot here? And what does this mean if Lindsay Halligan's appointment is in question?
So Lindsay Halligan's appointment is in question. Right now, they're calling her a special prosecutor. This was another argument that was rejected by the judge. So one of the reasons why we kind of knew the Department of Justice knew they screwed up to a certain degree with her appointment with respect to process is because later they issued a memo that said, oh, Lindsay Halligan is a special prosecutor. Now, this was something that the judge called out in the opinion was to circumvent this issue with respect to the appointment. On the appeal, it's going to be that argument that she is qualified, that she can serve in that interim position, and that a 120-day rule would be re-triggered once she was in the position rather than Eric Seibert. Now, there's going to be a dual path. Remember, this case was dismissed without prejudice, which means prosecutors have the ability to resurrect it. So to the extent there is a prosecutor who is properly in place that would bring the case, that's one option that could be pursued. And again, you're going to likely see that maybe be the dual path, the appeal on one hand, and to the extent that somebody wants to bring it up, it could, but we know there was an issue with that, which resulted in her coming into the position in the first place.
Misty and Gary, thank you both very much for kicking us off this hour. Let's now bring in NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba, now with reaction from the Trump administration here. Monica, good morning. So President Trump had handpicked Lindsay Halligan, his former personal attorney, put her in this role in the Eastern District of Virginia. What is the White House's reaction to this ruling invalidating her appointment?
Yes, Savannah, we can't overstate just how significant this is for President Trump and the White House because they were so intricately involved in her appointment and putting her in this place to ideally, in the words of the president, see through this mission to charge these people and ultimately go after them in the way that they did. This was something that came directly from the President of the United States. But they are standing by her, and they are saying essentially that what the judge ruled yesterday is not the final word. Here is what White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said yesterday.
There was a judge who is clearly trying to shield Letitia James and James Comey from receiving accountability, and that's why they took this unprecedented action to throw away the indictments. But the Department of Justice will be appealing very soon, and it is our position that Lindsay Halligan is extremely qualified for this position, but more importantly, was legally appointed to it.
So again, we wait for that formal appeal to actually be filed, but this is the kind of response you would expect from the White House, saying, again, they expect more action on this and for there to be potentially more coming, and this is not something they're going to give up any kind of way.
Monica, I do want to switch gears here now. Talk about that video. We've been talking about it since last week. This is that group of Democratic lawmakers. They put out this video on social media. They're urging U.S. troops and the intelligence community to what they call refuse illegal orders. One thing about this, everybody in this video, the lawmakers themselves, they are all former military or former intelligence. And yesterday, we saw Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth post on X. He called the group the seditious six, sort of hearkening back to what the president had called them. He said that, you can read this on your screen, encouraging our warriors to ignore the orders of their commanders undermines every aspect of good order and discipline. And then he also specifically singled out Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. What is he saying about his role in this? And just kind of put in context for us the fact that, like I said, we're still talking about this since last week, the fallout we're seeing here.
Yeah, and this is something where it is important to point out their national security backgrounds, but because most of them didn't actually technically retire from the armed services, they wouldn't be subject to essentially reviewing their code of conduct in accordance with the military code, the way that Senator Mark Kelly technically is, because he did retire after he served. And so specifically, that is why you saw Secretary Hegseth open this potential investigation to look at his activity here, to look at his behavior, to look at whether this violated any of these potential statutes. And if it did, then that could have some consequences. Senator Kelly, for his part, responded saying that if this is meant to intimidate him or the other members of Congress who issued that warning from doing their jobs and holding the administration accountable, he says it won't work. I've given too much to this country to be silenced by bullies who care more about their own power than protecting the Constitution. So this is a really specific case where if this were to proceed, they would have to formally notify the senator, and then he could potentially face repercussions. He could be lowered in rank. He could potentially be court-martialed and face additional consequences if they do end up going through with this. But that is why specifically they're singling him out compared to the others who were in that video, Savannah.
Monica, also before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the big issue. It was at the heart of the government shutdown that kept it going so long. Health care, the fact that these expiring Obamacare tax credits are going to impact millions of Americans. We've been wondering what's going to happen here. President Trump has said he wanted to fix health care. This is what Republicans sort of promised there would eventually be a vote on. The White House is expected to unveil a health policy plan soon. What are you hearing about this?
Well, it depends on your definition of soon, because literally for the last decade or so, Donald Trump has promised that he was going to unveil some kind of a health care plan. Remember, that became concepts of a plan and certainly things we've been hearing about, but that haven't actually materialized. There was discussion about potentially getting to see that proposal at some point this week. Then it seems like that was delayed a little bit, but it does seem like, at least in the draft proposal of what exists here, there's a discussion about extending those Obamacare subsidies, which is what Democrats were really pushing for and which many Republicans have been opposed to. So is that possible? That's something that is actually going to happen. The White House hasn't offered any kind of specifics or any kind of timeline, but of course that will be eagerly awaited, given that is something that will be so significant to people if they see their premiums skyrocket, if those end at the end of the year, which is the current plan.
All right, Monica Alba, thank you very much. Well, now let's get to our other big story of the morning. That is the record number of Americans who are traveling this week. An estimated 82 million of us are expected to go at least 50 miles from home over the next few days. Now, some of you might have already made that trek. You might already be at your destination. For the rest of us, a powerful storm system that has already produced at least one major tornado in eastern Texas is threatening to disrupt this across the country. We've got NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson just north of Houston. She is in Spring, Texas. That is where this tornado touched down. She joins us now with the latest. Priscilla, good morning. First, just tell us what you're seeing. What's the damage look like this morning? I know it's still dark, but what do you know?
Yeah, Savannah, good morning from a foggy Spring, Texas here. That tornado tore through this neighborhood yesterday, and I'll show you some of what that looks like. It is these massive trees like this that have come down on things like people's vehicles, but also on to fences and really just up and down this street. It is debris that is lining the street as folks are sort of working to get things back together in time for the Thanksgiving holiday. And I spoke to people who were inside their homes, inside businesses and buildings when this tornado came through. through, and they described just the pressure in their ears and those harrowing moments where they really feared for their lives in terms of what was going to happen. But all of them said so quickly this was over, and they came outside to really see just all of this destruction. And I do want to show you one thing, a bit of good news in all of this. We are seeing these utility trucks that are out here this morning. Some of these crews tell us that they have been working through the night trying to get power restored to these folks in time for the Thanksgiving holiday. Savannah?
Absolutely. Hope that happens. Priscilla, we're hearing the storm caused major delays at airports in the region. Unsurprisingly, are flights still impacted? Just how much of a mess did this cause?
Yeah, so we saw a lot of delays out of Dallas yesterday as the storm moved through there, and also Houston. But the good news is I just checked FlightAware's misery map, and right now it is not looking bad at all. There are some delays in places like Boston, Miami, Chicago, but overall the map is looking pretty good for folks so far. But of course, we are still very early in the day.
All right, Priscilla, what about travel for the rest of the country? Isn't today supposed to be one of the busiest days we know? Tomorrow also a busy day. How do we think we're going to fare?
Yeah, Savannah, we have been saying it for a while now. Tuesday is the new Wednesday when it comes to holiday travel. So if folks are getting out there today at the airports, on the roads, they should expect a lot of company. We are talking about some 52,000 flights that are expected to take off today, according to the FAA. And it is also going to be a crush on the roads. AAA is saying that the best time for folks to leave, or the busiest time, I'll start with that, is going to be today and tomorrow on the roads, today at the airports. But AAA says that the best time to leave the morning, the worst time to leave the afternoon and the evening, which is when a lot of us often find ourselves on the road.
No kidding. All right, Priscilla Thompson, thank you so much. Well, let's get you more weather now, because the severe storms are going to move across the southeast right as our travel's ramping up. Angie Lastman is here in studio and tracking it all for us just ahead of Thanksgiving. Angie, good morning.
Hi, Savannah. Good morning to you. You got that right. We do have a couple of spots that could cause some travel trouble when it comes to the weather here over the next couple of days. But let's start with today and getting into tonight. Notice that we do have some of this rain and even some snow that's stretched across parts of the mid-Atlantic. We see the Great Lakes dealing with some of that, and into the Northeast and mid-Atlantic as well. We've got periods of rain that you'll have to deal with, and then some of those kind of gusty thunderstorms that will track across parts of the Southeast. Now, travel impacts, as far as those are concerned, I would specifically watch Atlanta, where those stronger storms are going to be. Charlotte potentially seeing some likely delays, and then up and down from Boston to D.C. Minor delays, but they could happen. Of course, with some of that rain, you'll see that kind of similar story for Detroit, Chicago, and St. Louis. And then Minneapolis, St. Paul, that's one spot that we're likely going to see some of those delays, of course, with the wind, with the snow, with the rain, all on tap. And that goes for those roadways in those locations as well. Again, same kind of spots that we're going to look for delays: the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, parts of the Great Lakes, the Midwest, and then down across the Southeast, I-65, or in and out of the Atlanta metro is going to be a couple of locations where you'll see those thunderstorms. Speaking of the thunderstorms, here's what we've got in store. The impacts remain to be really all on the table. We've got that slight risk that's stretching from Birmingham down through Montgomery, Monroeville, and including Hattiesburg. And that's going to be the strong wind gusts, the hail, and even a couple of tornadoes. We've already seen quite an active start. By tomorrow, if you're looking ahead for the travel there, we've got the lingering showers for New England, but a lot of with that front that's sliding out of the picture, but the cold winds and the snow will be left behind across the Great Lakes, so you'll have to contend with that for any travel that you might have. Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, St. Paul are going to be those spots that I would specifically watch for delays, and then some minor conditions along the I-95 corridor with those strong winds across the Midwest. That's why we're more concerned, of course, about the air travel there rather than those rain showers for the I-95 corridor. And then there's Thanksgiving. Your travel, a little blustery, Savannah, across the Northeast and New England, and we've got some heavy snow for folks downwind of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. So could be a little bit of delay there, but overall not a horrible forecast for Thanksgiving if you're going to be out and about traveling to, multiple dinners or whatever.
And now we're expecting blustery and snow. It's time.
Yeah, it's time. Yeah, I know. You're a big fan of this. This is the time of year where Savannah counts down the minutes till she sees the first place.
Well, we got that like a week ago.
We did.
That was fun. All right, Angie, thank you. See you in a little bit.
You got it.
Well, this morning, NBA coach and Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups is out on bond after he was arraigned in a Brooklyn courtroom. Billups pleaded not guilty yesterday to a 2-count federal indictment that accused him of participating in a rigged poker scheme that was backed by the mafia. And as Erica Byfield from our NBC station here in New York reports, he wasn't the only former basketball player to appear in court.
Chauncey Billups walked out of a federal courtroom after posting a $5 million bond, declining to answer questions earlier inside. The Portland Trailblazers head coach pleaded not guilty. The five-time NBA All-Star is accused of helping the mafia rig poker games in Manhattan, the Hamptons, Las Vegas, and Miami. Prosecutors say that Billups used his star power to lure victims to the tables. The feds have charged 31 people with crimes including money laundering and wire fraud. Monday marked the first time that all of the defendants appeared together in a Brooklyn courtroom. The government has already started plea negotiations with some of the defendants and is preparing to turn over a trove of evidence, over 1 terabyte of electronic records, including surveillance video and bank records. Some of it has already been released, showing alleged cheating technology like hidden cameras and chip trays, card stuffing machines, special sunglasses, even X-ray equipped tables that can read cars. Former NBA player Damon Jones is accused in the poker scheme, and he's among a group charged in a separate federal case for illegal NBA game betting, including allegations of providing gamblers inside information on players. Prosecutors say that Billups received payouts for his role in the poker games. In one case, after a game in the fall of 2020, Billups allegedly received a $50,000 wire transfer. Now, out on bond, a judge told him that if he gambles, communicates with his co-defendants, witnesses, or commits another crime, he could wind up in prison.
Our thanks to Eric Highfield for that report. Well, we have much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, X marks the spot, the new feature on the social media platform that's raising questions about who's behind several popular right-wing accounts. Up first, the developing news, new intensified attacks between as the U.S. pushes for peace by Thanksgiving. We'll have the latest. That's next. Stay with us. We are back now with news about a deadly attack on an apartment building in Ukraine. At least 7 people were killed and over a dozen injured after Russia launched a new wave of attacks on Kyiv overnight. The mayor there says 2 residential buildings are badly damaged as fire from the blasts quickly spread through the buildings. At the same time, Ukrainian drones launched successive attacks on buildings in Russia's Black Sea region. That injured at least 4 people and damaged several high-rise apartments and at least 2 homes there. These new strikes come after Ukraine and the U.S. released a joint statement saying that meaningful progress was made during high-stakes talks. The United States is pushing for a framework for peace to be in place by Thanksgiving. And then in the Middle East, the death toll of Palestinians in Gaza continues to mount despite a 6-week-old ceasefire being in place. Over the weekend, Gaza's health ministry said 342 Palestinians had been killed by Israeli forces since the truce came into effect, accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire 497 times. Israel says 3 of its soldiers have been killed by Hamas militants during that period. NBC News correspondent Hala Garani joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Hala, good morning. So a group of UN experts released a new report yesterday. This is accusing Israel of those ceasefire violations, urging states to act. Walk us through what they found, how Israel is responding, what they're saying has happened.
Absolutely, Savannah. Before I get to that, though, we are learning from Hamas that Palestinian Islamic Jihad has located the body of one deceased Israeli hostage, and Hamas says it will hand over the body to Red Cross operatives inside of the Gaza Strip, and then that the body will be handed over to the Israeli military and then obviously driven to a facility for identification. There are 3 remaining deceased Israeli hostages inside of the Gaza Strip. They were meant to have been handed over at the beginning of the ceasefire, which went into effect on October 11th. And this is something that the Israeli government has said was a continued violation on the Palestinian side of the ceasefire agreement. Now, you mentioned the other ceasefire violations that the UN and other organizations are reporting. The United Nations Human Rights Office is saying that over 70 children have been killed since October 11th, 339 Palestinians, and that there have been almost 400 violations. You listed another set of numbers, but they are quite similar here. And I've spoken to a man in the central part of the Gaza Strip just in the last half an hour, and he told me that since October 11th, and I just heard another explosion, I'm not sure that that is picked up by our microphone, that he too has witnessed and heard many bombing strikes and continued drone activity overhead where he is located in the Gaza Strip, Savannah.
So, Hala, amid this backdrop, where do things stand right now on this 20-point peace plan President Trump announced in September? We remember it sort of is supposed to unravel over time, right, or reveal itself over time in terms of who's going to sort of govern the Strip in the meantime. How's rebuilding going to happen? These are all things that were in those later points of this plan. What is the latest right now? How's it moving forward?
Well, Savannah, we've barely really ticked point 1, 2, and 3, and in some cases, every single point has failed to materialize. For example, I'm looking down here because I want to get the wording exactly right. Point 3 is Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed-upon line. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended. From the Palestinian perspective, that has not happened. The UN, as I just mentioned, has said that this is a violation of the agreement, specifically of point 3. They've called it a blatant violation. So really, it is on extremely shaky ground. What we're hearing from Gazans inside of the Strip is that essentially the intensity of the bombing has lessened. But as far as they're concerned, their day-to-day life is still very much punctuated by these strikes, by these attacks, and also by aid not going through in the amount and in the quantities that they say were agreed upon when this deal was signed last month, Savannah.
All right. But a Thanksgiving Day dilemma, how to enjoy your turkey dinner without ruffling any feathers. When we come back, we're going to get candid about the stresses of spending the holiday with family and share tips on how to manage in a special holiday edition of our weekly check-in. Morning News Now. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time now for our weekly mental health check-in, Thanksgiving edition. Tens of millions of us are getting ready to celebrate the holiday with loved ones this week. And while it can be exciting, it can also be stressful. We're going to give you some stats. A recent poll revealed that 41% of Americans say they anticipate more seasonal stress this year than last year. Also, 1 in 5 say the end of the year holidays have a negative impact on their mental health. So here with some tips to make this Thanksgiving holiday as peaceful as possible is our friend, Dr. George James, licensed marriage and family therapist. Great to see you. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving, doctor. We're grateful for you and you always stopping by our show. Thank you for your time this morning. So there's a lot of pressure, right? Always. I think especially like if you're a host, like you have to have the perfect holiday, the perfect meal, the picture perfect house, or like just this overall holiday experience. What can people do to manage their stress throughout Thanksgiving? And I'm assuming that's going to have a lot to do with managing expectations.
Good morning, Savannah. And yes, this time can be very stressful for so many people because we want it to be perfect. And you want to have some realistic expectations. It's not going to be perfect, but it can be really great and almost there. And you want to be able to have fun and be able to celebrate that time. So plan ahead as much as you can. Have some boundaries with yourself and with others. Also, stay active if you can, and really just try to be able to say, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to show up and enjoy the people around me.
That is really good advice. And you can do it, especially if you just kind of keep the conversation on track, which we're also going to talk about. A lot of people, right, are also gathering with immediate family or then extended family, friends they haven't seen in a while. There's a Christmas movie that I love called 4 Christmases with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn, where they're like driving to like his mom's and her mom's and his stepmoms. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're so stressed just because we're trying to fit it all in. It can make it difficult. It can also like make the quality time not so quality, right? So how can you navigate the pressures of family obligations? Maybe if you are in a situation where you got a lot of places to stop by.
Yeah, you know, lots of folks have to figure out where are they going to go the day before, the day on, the day after. It's a lot, and it can be overwhelming. And I want people to know what you can handle. Right? Last year, was it too much? Did you try to do too much in a short period of time? Maybe you limit that this year. Communicate what you can and cannot handle and cannot do. You want to know that with your partner, with your family, everybody. Also, some of these traditions are actually continuing family legacy. So it's actually a good thing, but you want to be able to limit what you can do because you don't want to leave overwhelmed and burnt out.
Great tips there. All right, now let's talk about the conversation. Politics, it's an easy one to sort of say. It's a dreaded topic, right, around the holidays. Of course, you're going to be with a big group of families, different generations, different viewpoints going on. What is the best way to handle the conversation if it turns political? Because, of course, it's timely, so there's a good chance it comes up.
Yeah, for some families, they actually enjoy these conversations. It's maybe fun. It may be some banter, some back and forth. What I want people to know is to share your perspective. Don't shout it. Don't get into an argument. You're not going to convert anyone. Agree to disagree and set some clear boundaries for yourself. Look, if it gets to this place, I'm going to leave. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to walk away. Communicate with care. These are still family, people you care about. And prioritize your peace, meaning if it's not healthy for you, take a break, step away, and don't engage in the conversation.
Communicate with care. I love that. Okay, another topic when it comes to what we're going to talk about, it gets personal, right? Your aunt wants to know if you're still single. Our family loves to ask my husband and I if we're going to have kids soon. It goes that way. Sometimes you don't want to talk about it. Sometimes it's okay to talk about with those family members, but how do you handle that?
Yeah, it feels like it's the love connection at home, right? Like, just sometimes our family wants to know where we are because they do love and do care. And I want you to know that it's okay to share, but share what you're comfortable with. And also that as families try to be supportive, they sometimes can be intrusive. So if it feels as too much, it's okay to say, like, I'm not wanted to get in that conversation right now, or I don't want to share that right now. And that's okay. It's you protecting yourself and your peace.
All right, Dr. James, way to arm us to head into the holiday this weekend. Thank you so much and enjoy it. Great to have you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone.
Coming up, Shopify under fire over illegal vape sales. The message to the online shopping giant from dozens of attorneys general. And a little aloha on your Thanksgiving table. We're going to introduce you to the family behind the iconic King's Hawaiian Rolls as they celebrate 75 years in business. Get ready for it. Morning News Now will be right back. We are back with a new feature on X that's stirring up both questions and some outrage online this morning. Over the weekend, users discovered that if you click on an account's join date, that's just something you can click on and see when they join the platform also displays the country or region where certain profiles are based. Here's the outrage part. It's leading to many questions and raising eyebrows at where a number of MAGA-branded accounts are actually from. Even the Department of Homeland Security is taking heat over where its account was created. For more on this, let's bring in NBC News tech and culture reporter Angela Yang. Angela, good morning. Great to see you. So let's start just like with the why behind this feature. I mean, we know that CEO Elon Musk vowed to get rid of all the bots on the platform. That was a huge piece of this, right, when he bought it back in 2022. How does that move play into what we're seeing on the site this week? Are people concerned that these accounts that, are maybe originating in Eastern Europe but are claiming to be MAGA are actually bots?
Right. So this account information tool is framed as a way to help verify an account's authenticity on X. So for context, studies have shown that suspected inauthentic activity on X has remained high despite Elon Musk's purges of bots on the site early on when he took over. And online bot operations are commonly run from outside of their target country, which is why the location information became such a big deal.
Angela, this is going viral specifically, like I mentioned, because of this relation to MAGA accounts and also the Department of Homeland Security. I want to read how you wrote this. You called these high engagement MAGA-branded accounts that present themselves as those of patriotic Americans. Just a moment ago, though, I mentioned there are places like Eastern Europe. You also point out Thailand, Nigeria, Bangladesh. What did you find in looking through this, and why do you think it's causing such a stir?
I think a big part of why it's causing such viral controversy is because of people pointing out what seems to be irony. There are accounts that are touting Trump 2028 that are listed as based in Nigeria or, another country that's not the United States. Even accounts that claim to be based in Washington, D.C. And there was one account with the username Trump is my president, which was listed as based in Macedonia. And then there are accounts with bald eagles and flags on their profile pictures that are listed as based in South Asia. So that alone is causing quite a bit of a stir. And it's also interesting to note that some of these accounts include X-verified accounts, which is interesting considering these blue checks typically serve as a way for platforms to denote an account's authenticity. Although, as users may remember, Musk did remove Twitter's original verification check marks in 2023 and began giving blue checks to accounts that pay for the X Premium subscription.
Angela, what about the Department of Homeland Security account we mentioned?
Right. So there was also an uproar in the early hours of the rollout of this feature when people posted numerous screenshots and screen recordings of the DHS account being listed as based in Israel. And so that happened for a couple of hours where people were, posting about it. And then the feature was temporarily taken down on Friday. And so now the feature is back. But the DHS account says that it is, the account information section says that it's based in the United States. Although people still insist that they did see what they saw. But the DHS did eventually issue a denial on Sunday, and it wrote that their account has only ever been run and operated from the United States.
Angela, quickly tell us, is anybody worried about privacy concerns here? If you're like, oh, it says, where my account is based, does that reveal something in the same way that we've had location services be of concern on Snap Maps or when Instagram rolled something like this out? Is that a conversation?
I think there are a few privacy concerns that users have expressed, but it's not to the extent of Instagram Maps or Snap Maps, because those maps would show you the exact location where you currently are, whereas this feature on X, at most, it shows your specific country, although users can also go to their profile settings and toggle whether to display their specific country or just the continent or region that their account is in.
All right, Angela, thank you so much. We've got more news from big tech. Amazon is betting big on Indiana with a multi-billion-dollar investment on the way. NBC's Emily Lorsch joins us now with our Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. That's right. Amazon plans to spend $15 billion on new data center campuses in northern Indiana, adding 2.4 gigawatts of capacity to keep up with surging AI demand. Amazon says this will create more than 1,000 jobs. It's part of more than $30 billion Amazon has already invested in the state, and the news comes just as the company also announced it will invest as much as $50 billion on AI infrastructure to support U.S. government agencies. And a major push to crack down on illegal vape sales online. 25 state attorneys general are urging Shopify to stop hosting websites that sell vapes without required licenses or that violate other U.S. laws. It's an issue that's important to families as unregulated devices dominate the market. The officials thanked Shopify for removing some sellers earlier this year, but say a better solution is needed. Finally, a new holiday treat for fans of Charlie Brown and his friends. Krispy Kreme is rolling out a new Peanuts-themed donut collection inspired by Charles Schultz's iconic characters as the comic strip celebrates its 75th anniversary. Whether your favorite character is Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Lucy, Linus, or Sally, fans can order the donuts and get them in a decked-out box for the holidays. There are new flavors, including the Snoopy cookies and cream, the Charlie Brown ornament, and the Christmas wreath donut. Savannah, I would bring those treats in here for you, but that all doesn't start until Saturday.
Okay, and don't. I don't eat them, but I do love when you bring a prop, not that one. Thank you so much. All right, as we keep reminding you, Thanksgiving is just a couple days away, and this morning we're getting a look behind the scenes of one of the most popular items on many people's dinner table. It's those iconic, sweet, melt-in-your-mouth King's Hawaiian rolls. NBC News correspondent Liz Croyt spoke with the CEO and his daughter about the family's legacy and building the brand as the company celebrates 75 years.
This was more than bread because of the richness, the sweetness, and more importantly, the fluffiness.
Since 1983, Mark Tyra has been CEO of King's Hawaiian. His daughter Courtney, part of what she calls G3.
Third generation. So grandfather started the business 75 years ago. He's G2 with his siblings, and then there are 11 G3 members.
For all of them, that tiny, squishy roll is a core part of the family identity. It was Mark's father, Robert Tyra, that founded the company in Hilo, Hawaii back in 1950. Then it was just this small storefront selling specialty cakes, pies, and pastries.
It all started with my father's dream of creating bakery items that make people happy.
The idea for his Hawaiian sweetbread, which was initially sold as one large round loaf, came from a neighbor.
Once he tried it, he loved it, but after a day, it would turn to like rock. So he took that initial recipe and he just worked on it.
What he created became such a hit that by the 1960s, he moved his bakery to King Street in Honolulu, where the business got its current name. Before long, locals and tourists were hooked.
Is it true that people were spending $50 to ship it back?
Oh, that's right. On a daily basis, my mother had stacks of mail of requests to ship product to them around the world.
So in 1977, the family moved the business to Los Angeles, where it's still headquartered today. It was here in the 80s that Mark helped develop the pull-apart concept that's now a defining feature of the brand.
The cluster type was all about having something that's on the table that all the family members could dig in and share.
How special is it that through a simple roll, you're spreading the spirit of aloha, the spirit of ohana?
The thing I like the most is everybody owns it. Whether you're Mexican and you have amazing, carne asada in it, or like you're Vietnamese, you can have really cool banh mi's. Like everybody is like, this is my bread, my recipe.
What do you think your father would have thought of all of this?
He always used the product in so many different ways.
He for sure would want to make all the different recipes that you see on TikTok and Pinterest, and would just love that people are so entrepreneurial about it.
The one thing that hasn't changed, the actual recipe.
How many people have the access to the recipe for King's Hawaiian rolls?
Yeah, there's only a few.
Don't worry, I don't have access.
You don't have access?
No, I had to put it on TikTok.
Do you hope that one day you'll get that secret?
Oh no, I'm gonna get it.
Oh, okay.
I am gonna get it. Okay. Whether they want to share it or not, I'm gonna figure it out.
And to her credit, Courtney does know the recipe for the other part of the family business.
Guava, passion fruit, and lime with a tropical whipped cream and then fruit glazes on top.
She runs the King's Hawaiian restaurant group, including their bakery in Torrance, California, where several members of the family often pitch into work, especially around the holidays.
Through our bread, right, everybody across the nation gets to enjoy it, and we get to be a part of everyone's Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow.
Inside the factory, we got to see what it takes to get the rolls just right.
How are you not tempted to dislike?
From the baking,
you can see how sticky it is,
to the bagging.
And from here goes to the grocery store.
And most importantly, the best way to eat it.
Right when it comes out of our oven. Try it.
Okay, will you pull it apart with me? Cheers.
Cheers.
Delicious, both by itself and with some butter.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
And for Mark, every bite brings a smile and the memory of his father's simple mission.
Right, it reminds me of him always wanting consumers to eat his product and put a smile on their face. When I eat it, it's so good. I'm just so happy.
Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
Oh my gosh, look at that. And now you can think about it when you're probably eating those on Thanksgiving. Well, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital has long been a crucial guiding light in the treatment of many pediatric cancers. And this morning, it's shining a little brighter with its brand new, unique Family Commons wing. The space offers a holistic approach to healing, providing comfort and a sense of normalcy in between appointments for families and their sick kids. NBC News Now anchor Morgan Radford got a personal facility from actress and producer and St. Jude advocate Marlo Thomas.
Bright, beautiful, and filled with childlike wonder. You'd never guess we were standing in the middle of a hospital.
Hey, Morgan.
We met up with Marlo Thomas, the force behind the new Family Commons at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Will you show me around?
Yeah. To see what makes this 45,000 square foot center a haven for some of the sickest kids battling cancer.
It was actually thought of by the parents and the children of what are they missing? A place to play, a place to do art, a place to play music, and even we have a beauty salon.
A beauty salon?
Because hair is very important to kids.
Well, you all are looking stunning today.
Isn't that great?
I want to come sit in the seat with you all.
We have a manicurist.
Professional manicure.
Absolutely.
Hello. Oh my, is that glitter?
So I'm going to take you to the art room. The children are so scheduled. What the art does in terms of healing, it gives them back control.
And freedom.
Anything they want. We can even paint on the walls.
You were painting on the walls?
Our main goal is to save a child's life. And after that, give them back a quality of life. We're trying to give them back their childhood.
There's even a music room for budding musicians.
Got a beat?
Over here is our recording studio.
And a creator's room with art, animation, and 3D printers.
What is it?
It's me.
And perhaps the best part?
There are no doctors here, no nurses, no medicine.
Oh, they're not even allowed on this area.
No. This is playtime.
When it came to designing the incredible space, they went straight to the experts.
And then shake our hip, shake our head. What is something you like about St. Jude?
The maker's place in the workshop.
The maker's place, I know. It's pretty great in there.
The 3D printer in there. I like seeing the dogs.
So you were a little scared here. What was scary?
The new Poke race with the armband. Maintenance are scary.
For me, I'm having radiation here at St. Jude's. I was mostly scared of the big side effects like fatigue and all that.
What helped you not be scared?
Friends.
If you could talk to your cancer, what would you say?
I hate cancer, it's the worst.
That's right. I also hate cancer.
I don't like you and you don't belong here, so get out of here now!
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And you know what? That could work. Along with the chemo, it could work. Does anybody have a question for me?
How did your dad come up with St. Jude?
How did my dad come up with St. Jude? Because there were little kids in his neighborhood who got real sick, and there was no place to go. So he wanted to have a place that was free for all kids.
And in this magical treatment-free zone, they get to stop fighting for just a moment and be free.
Oh, I can't wait for the hug. Wow.
Our thanks to Morgan for that heartwarming report. If that's not enough, at St. Jude, families never receive a bill for anything, including treatment, room and board, transportation, none of it. So that's why your donations mean a lot. Coming up, from gobble gobble to woof woof, that's right, dog lovers, we're talking about another beloved Thanksgiving tradition. We're going crazy with the sound effects. Up next, meet some of the top contenders in this year's National Dog Show. Don't pause your devices. Morning News Now, we'll be right back. Welcome back. New York's Times Square will shine a little brighter at the start of 2026 because we've got a revamped New Year's Eve ball just unveiled. Take a look at this. It is standing by, waiting for that confetti-filled drop. It's so cool. This is actually the 9th version of the ball crafted since the tradition began, and that was more than 100 years ago. It was in 1907. Well, this one is covered in 5,200 Waterford crystals. For the very first time, it features circular crystals. That is a change. They used to be triangular-shaped ones. Look at that. It does really look different, actually. Each LED circle features its own unique design, which will also change each year. If you're feeling nostalgic, though, over the New Year's Eve ball of the past, you'll be able to see it in an immersive new Times Square experience that will open to the public next year. I gotta say, I gotta brag for a second. I've been up close and personal with the last one. It's pretty cool, and it's so much larger than you think it's going to be, so go check that out. Well, finally this hour, in addition to the Macy's parade, the turkey, the stuffing, the NFL games, there's another Thanksgiving tradition to take in on Thursdays. Your dogs probably remember it. It is the iconic National Dog Show, Lucy, my dog's favorite show of the year. NBC Entertainment's Mark Barger chatted with some of the dogs' owners and trainers for us.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. It's become an event akin to a canine Super Bowl.
The National Dog Show is just, there's just so many words to describe it.
And Tim Hoare will be there for the first time with his Bull Mastiff banner.
It's going to be weird being there instead of actually watching it on television.
Hello, everyone. Every year, John O'Hurley and David Fry co-host this showcase and tutorial of sorts on the variety of man's best friend.
When I watched the dog show as probably a college student, was when I first saw the Irish Wolfhound breed, and that is what drew me to the breed. And ever since then, that's all I've ever had.
And Christina Honish will bring Acadia to this year's event.
Yeah, I mean, if we could take best of breed, I'd be ecstatic.
This Black Russian Terrier, Rue, did win best of breed last year and was in the hunt for best in show.
Even when you're backstage waiting to go out, every single dog, you can tell they're excited to be there.
The Black Russian Terrier.
It's very overwhelming, though, because you walk in and it's just everything.
This year, the Danish-Swedish farm dog will make its debut among the more than 1,800 dogs competing.
We're thrilled to be there. This is the newest breed in AKC. This is breed number. So we are finally fully AKC registered.
And joining this Thanksgiving tradition.
Either you like dogs or you're wrong.
Thanks to Mark Barker for that report. I totally agree with that. You like them or you're wrong. Last year, a pug named Vito won Best in Show. And if you want to watch this year's event, the National Dog Show airs at noon Eastern on Thanksgiving Day. It's right after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but you probably already knew that. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Thanks for being with us. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thank you very much for starting your Tuesday with us. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is off, so it's just you and me today. Right now on Morning News Now, delays and devastation. Mother Nature doling out chaos to an already busy Thanksgiving travel season. Heavy rain pounding millions across the South as this tornado on your screen tore through Houston, damaging more than 100 homes. It's all happening as passengers face major pileups at some of the nation's busiest airports right at the height of holiday travel. Our Angie Lastman is tracking it all so you can know before you go. Kyiv under siege, Russia launching a brand new barrage of missile strikes overnight targeting Ukraine's capital city, killing at least 7, according to Kyiv's mayor. But does it spell disaster for President Trump's push for peace in the region? Our Keir Simmons has the latest. Plus, investors finally seeing green on Wall Street this morning after concerns over a possible AI bubble had major markets in a sizable slump. So what is behind all the whiplash and what could it mean for your 401k? We are watching your wallet. And with Thanksgiving now just 2 days away, we've got some tips on how you can stay safe while chefing up some of your favorite dishes, plus ways to keep the conversation classy around the dinner table this year. We are talking turkey a little later in the hour, and now just 2 days away. If you're like me, you still got a lot to do, but we're happy you're with us this holiday week. We are going to start this hour with the holiday travel rush, kicking into high gear. Today is expected to be the busiest day for anyone flying to their destinations. And then on trains, Amtrak seeing a record number of bookings, saying this year could actually be the busiest ever. And then if you're driving, highways, they will be packed as roughly 90% of the estimated 82 million of us who are traveling this week are expected to drive to their destinations. The weather, though, just mentioned this, it's a big issue. A powerful storm system is making its way across the country. Yesterday, it even spawned a destructive tornado that touched down near Houston. We're going to have travel expert Katie Nastro here to help navigate your way through wherever you are headed. We're going to begin, though, with Priscilla Thompson. She is just north of Houston in Spring, Texas, where that tornado touched down. Priscilla, good morning.
Yeah, Savannah, good morning. That tornado tore through this neighborhood just ahead of the holiday, and I will show you what it looks like right now. You have these massive trees that have come down on top of cars, on top of homes, on top of fences, and it looks like that up and down this block with these massive piles of debris just about everywhere. This morning, a cross-country storm impacting holiday travel for millions of Americans on the busiest Thanksgiving getaway day.
Oh, that's crazy.
The system spawning a destructive tornado in Texas.
There she is.
That twister swirling near Houston, toppling trees and tearing through homes.
Every single solitary thing is broken.
Nearby, 2 maintenance workers trapped in this emergency services building.
He was just hanging on for dear life. He looked up and the roof just sheared off.
The storms putting a serious strain on the nation's airports during the most congested travel period the country has seen in 15 years.
Wouldn't recommend. Probably wouldn't do it again.
The FAA warning today will be the peak time for flying.
Travel is always very stressful, you know, making sure you get here on time, security check and all that.
The TSA says it's staffed and ready to screen nearly 18 million passengers over the holiday period.
This really kicks off our holiday travel season. We're going to see elevated volumes throughout the rest of the year.
If you're heading out by car, get ready for a rush on the roads. AAA says the worst times to drive are today and tomorrow during the afternoon and evening.
The earlier, the better. Do not wait until lunchtime to hit the road.
That's prompting an expected record number of folks riding the rails.
I take the train because it's more quick and convenient.
But no matter how you travel, the best advice, pack your patience.
We're going to have the busiest Thanksgiving season ever.
And Savannah, we have been saying it for a while here, but Tuesday is the new Wednesday when it comes to Thanksgiving travel. So if you are heading out today, know that you are not going to be alone. You're going to have a lot of company out there. And I do have to give a quick shout out because you might see these bucket trucks and utility vehicles behind me. There have been folks working through the night to try to get power restored to these homes ahead of the holiday. Savannah?
Oh, absolutely. We hope that works out. Priscilla Thompson, thank you so much. Well, let's bring in Katie Nastro. She, of course, as you know, is a travel expert at Going, in front of the show. Katie, good morning. Happy almost Thanksgiving. Loving your fall palette right now.
We have to come with the fall colors.
It's working for me. Okay, so as Priscilla just mentioned there today, super busy day to fly. You were explaining to me that actually more flights are scheduled today versus tomorrow, which just kind of shows you more people there. What should you know if you are flying out today?
Yeah, we want travelers to remember, yes, even if you're flying, you still need to monitor those transit and traffic reports. AAA is estimating that today and tomorrow are going to be the peak days for road travel. So if you're heading to the airport and you're going by car, between 12 and 9 p.m. are the windows, which are actually wider than last year.
Yeah, that's all day.
That's pretty much all day. So you want to make sure that you're buffering even more time to get to the airport. As well as, quick reminder, this is the first Thanksgiving. We are Real ID compliant. Make sure you have those necessary documents. We're not seeing TSA outrightly turn anyone away, but extra processing if you don't have a compliant ID is taking upwards of an additional 30 minutes. So you want to make sure you have that buffer of time not to just get to the airport, but get through the airport.
Yeah, my driver's license is not a real ID.
You need extra time.
But it's okay. No, because I have a global entry card, a passport card, and a passport. But just make sure you have one of those things with you, or it's going to take you a while. Okay, we just heard their big heft of Priscilla's story is the weather and the potential disruption. So we know that that is a concern in certain parts of the country. If it is a concern for you, where you're headed to, where you're coming from, remind us, what is it that are our rights, sort of, with the airlines? If your flight is super delayed or is canceled, what should you ask for from the travel company?
Unfortunately, weather, even though it is the biggest reason why we see travel disruptions, it leaves travelers with the fewest protections because it is outside of the airline's control. But at the base level, regardless of whether it's due to weather or operational issues, you are entitled to a rebooking on that airline, so a new flight, or a refund if you decide, you know what, I'm going to stay home this year. I'll see the relatives at the winter holidays. So at the very basic level, remember you have that right.
Wow, failing altogether. Don't do that. It's worth it. That's funny. Let's take through the other travel modes. Driving. We know this is going to be like a super busy one, but you were explaining to me it's just like more spread out. Like people have been driving even since Saturday to get to their destinations. People might be watching us right now from their parents' or their aunt's house.
Yes. You know, we're seeing a distribution of travel this year for two reasons. You know, people are returning to office, but they're able to work remotely. So people are actually getting a head start to travel. So we're starting to see a rise in how many travelers are heading out, starting last Friday, and then heading into this busy week. The fewest amount of travelers are going to be on Thanksgiving itself. So in the future, try to head out on the holiday. That's always our best bet.
But then it's less fun. You can't like be in your cozy house before with everybody.
Leave early. Leave early and you get there and you still have that coziness.
Katie's like, that's the only day I need with everybody. Okay, let's talk about trains. Amtrak, I just said that might even actually be their busiest season ever. I've been talking a lot. Even this morning, somebody was just telling me what their train ticket cost them. It's also costly this year. What's going on with trains?
It is costly. A lot of people are really snake bitten from the impacts of the shutdown and not really understanding or knowing whether or not it would bleed into the Thanksgiving holiday. So a lot of people book preemptively for that alternate mode of transport to totally avoid air travel. Now, some have readjusted their plans, but some folks are saying, you know what, I'm going to take the train this year. But they are running into heftier price tags as Amtrak sees a record year, as you mentioned. So we want people to be aware if this is your first time on the Amtrak or just
it sounds like for a lot of people it might be.
For a lot of people, you know, you don't necessarily need to get to the train station 2 hours ahead of time.
You do not.
You do not.
Do that.
You do
My
not.
husband wants to do that, and it makes me crazy.
45 minutes is just enough time, and enough time to grab your coffee and then board your train. You're not processing through TSA. You're not checking your bags, so you don't need that additional time in the train station. As well as you're going to find that it's open seating, first come, first serve for most routes. And unless you have a business fare, you can pretty much sit wherever you want. So it is pick of the litter.
Yeah, there you go. And if you see somebody in the red outfit, cap, red vest, their red cap service, they'll help you with your bags if you need help. Katie, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving. Great to have you with us. Let's talk about how that weather could impact any of this travel. Those storms that ripped through Texas that Priscilla showed us, they're pushing further southeast this morning. Angie Lassman is here with the latest. She's going to let us know what's going to unfold over the next couple hours, next couple days as people hit the road. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, Savannah. Good morning to you. We've got already kind of an active 24 hours that we've had to deal with some of these kind of stronger storms across parts of the south. And you can see we've still got this big batch of moisture and a pretty potent line of thunderstorms that we're tracking across the southeast, and then extending that heavier rain up through parts of the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. So there's this line that we're specifically going to watch for, and this is where we're kind of waiting to see as the afternoon and evening go on if we could see some of these stronger storms developing yet again. We've got the wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour on the table. We've also got the hail over an inch in size, and then a couple of tornadoes. Not going to rule those out, of course. Again, it's been already quite active for the past 24 hours, so we'll see that kind of again with all the ingredients there for those impacts. Big picture today, of course, those are the spots that you're going to likely see the slowdowns. If you live across the Rockies, across the Southwest, most of you are going to be quite quiet. Even down through Florida and parts of the coastal Southeast, you're going to see quiet conditions too. But the rain and the severe storms could see some delays when it comes to air travel from Chicago to Detroit and up and down the I-95 corridor. Minneapolis, one of the spots that I would specifically watch for delays. And then Atlanta, that's another area. But green across much of the West, really, unless you live in the Pacific Northwest, where you'll see some rain and snow that could likely slow you down on the roadways and in the air. I-94, I-64, I-90, I-40, I-65, those are all spots that you might end up with a bit of a slowdown if you're hitting the road through the day today. Tomorrow, pretty good for travel across the middle of the country and most of the West. We've got some of that rain still for the Pacific Northwest, a couple of storms across the East, so those delays are possible, not all that likely, but still possible from Boston to Washington, D.C. I would watch Chicago, Detroit, and Minneapolis, though, for air travel delays with stronger winds. We've got some snow, so we know how that goes when it comes to air travel and road travel. And then here's a look at Thanksgiving Day. Not a whole lot of bad news on this map, Savannah. We've got pretty quiet conditions when it comes to air travel and when it comes to road travel. A little bit of snow and wind for the Great Lakes and then the Northwest. I'd watch those areas. But, I mean, there's a lot of green on that map when it comes to hitting the road on Thanksgiving Day to get to your destination.
I'm going to put you on the spot with something that you didn't have ready on the map thing.
Yeah, tell me.
What do we think about the wind and the balloons?
Well, you know what? I do actually have that. Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh. Just hold your horses there. Here's what we've got. So, you know, this is 8:30 to noon. So we've got mostly sunny conditions and windy conditions. Unfortunately, yes, it is going to be gusty, 30 to 35 miles per hour. Will they fly lower? What will happen with that? We're going to have to wait until we're a little closer, but this is what it's at least looking like right now with those gusty conditions.
Okay.
I know. We're all going to do a wind dance,
you
not a rain
are in
dance,
control, so make it happen.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, thank you, Angie. Happy Thanksgiving. All right, a federal judge has thrown out criminal charges against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. The judge said the prosecutor who brought the indictments, interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, was appointed unlawfully. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has the details.
Hey there, the cases against Comey and James have been marked by controversy since their very inception. The timing, the substance, what the president has said about them both, all factors. But this time, it's the lawyer who's charged them, who's now posing the greatest potential setback.
This morning, a major blow to the prosecution of two top Trump targets. The Justice Department vowing to appeal orders from a federal judge Monday, tossing out the criminal charges against former FBI Director James Comey and New York's Attorney General Letitia James.
We'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal.
The judge concluding the president's hand-picked prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, who brought the cases in Virginia, cannot lead the office any longer, pointing to a law barring successive appointments of interim prosecutors, like Halligan and her predecessor, who were not Senate confirmed. The judge writing, all actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment constitute unlawful exercises of executive power and must be set aside. Halligan's predecessor was publicly ousted this fall after concluding there was not enough evidence to indict Comey or James. The president soon calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to bring charges anyway.
If they are guilty or if they should be charged, they should be charged. And we have to do it now.
2 days later, Halligan, Mr. Trump's one-time defense attorney with no experience as a prosecutor, was tapped to lead the high-profile office, appearing alone in front of the grand jury as she sought charges against Comey for lying to Congress and obstruction, just days before the statute of limitations was set to expire. Comey, who has maintained his innocence all along, reacting to the new ruling.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence.
Last month, Halligan also indicting James, who was tangled with Trump for years over his real estate holdings. James pled not guilty to charges of misleading her bank to receive a better mortgage rate, saying Monday, "I remain fearless in the face of these baseless charges."
As for where this all goes next, once the Justice Department appeals the cases, this could take months to resolve. But if the DOJ should lose and Halligan can't stay, a different prosecutor, at least in theory, could refile the charges. But it's unclear who would, and there'd likely still be a fight over the statute of limitation in Comey's case. He says he expects the president to come after him once again. Back to you guys.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. Well, this morning, the Pentagon says it's investigating serious allegations of misconduct against Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. Well, this comes days after the retired Navy officer and astronaut joined other Democrats in this video, you might remember, urging military and intelligence officials to refuse illegal orders from the Trump administration. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake has the latest details here. Hey, Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Look, all of these lawmakers were former military or intelligence officers, but only Arizona's Mark Kelly actually retired from military service as an officer. It seems like a small thing, but that means he's the only one who's still potentially subject to military discipline and justice. And now the Pentagon says he'll be investigated for his part in that social media video, which has infuriated the president. An extraordinary escalation today in the Trump administration's efforts to target the president's critics, with Arizona Senator Mark Kelly now facing a Defense Department investigation after Kelly and 5 other Democratic lawmakers, all former military and intelligence officers, released this video last week.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
Urging current officers to defy unlawful orders from the administration. Kelly speaking overnight.
I think it's important for people to know that they need to be able to stand up and speak out.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announcing an inquiry into the retired Navy captain and astronaut, calling the lawmakers' video, quote, despicable, reckless, and false. The department says it's probing whether the video was intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces, and saying its review could lead to Kelly being recalled to active duty for a court-martial. Is the White House supportive of the Pentagon's investigation into Mark Kelly, and what do you make of his response that it's just intimidation?
I think what Senator Mark Kelly was actually trying to do was intimidate the 1.3 million active duty service members.
In the wake of the video's release, President Trump accused the lawmakers of sedition, punishable by death, and shared a post that said, quote, hang them, later clarifying.
I'm not threatening death, but I think they're in serious trouble.
Kelly now saying he's being targeted.
I said something that was pretty simple and non-controversial, and that was that members of the military should follow the law. And in response to that, Donald Trump said I should be executed.
Well, the president has somewhat backed away from his execution rhetoric, but he continues to post that the other Democrats involved in making that video should also face consequences. A senior White House official tells me that any other investigations of the other 5 would be up to the Department of Justice to open and to pursue, that the president has made his desire to see such actions taken abundantly clear. Savannah?
All right, Garrett, thank you very much. Well, now let's get to the latest on the war in Ukraine. Overnight, Russia hammered Ukraine's capital of Kyiv with missile and drone strikes, killing at least 7 people. This happened as U.S. officials were continuing to hold peace talks. NBC's chief international correspondent, Keir Simmons, joins us now with the latest here. Keir, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. And an angry reaction from Moscow to the latest publicity in the past few hours. The Russian government accusing Europe of leaking information about talks in order to reach an agreement. Those talks with US, Russian and Ukrainian officials behind closed doors in Abu Dhabi here in the United Arab Emirates continue today. A US Army spokesman saying the talks are going well. This morning, a massive Russian strike on the Ukrainian capital, even as Trump administration officials persist in a global push for a peace deal. Almost 500 missiles and drones hit Ukraine in the middle of the night, officials rescuing children from this apartment building. Volodymyr Zelensky this morning reporting extensive damage. Kyiv authorities say at least 6 died. Relentless fighting just days before President Trump's Thanksgiving deadline for a deal. As Russia says Ukrainian strikes overnight killed 3 people near the border. While a US Army spokesperson tells NBC News that Army Secretary Dan Driscoll is holding meetings with Russian officials and talking to Ukrainian officials here in the United Arab Emirates. The UAE not confirming the meetings, but saying it is helping in every way it can. The Kremlin spokesman this morning saying they are open to negotiation, but not, quote, megaphone diplomacy. The US coming from another high-stakes meeting in Geneva, where Ukraine and Europe demanded changes to a Trump administration 28-point peace plan. The new plan seen as less favorable to Russia on questions like territory. This morning, the Russian government says it has not seen the modified plan. Ending the war can become doable, Zelensky said. The most delicate points I will discuss with President Trump.
We feel as though we're in a very good place.
And now, Savannah, the Secretary of Ukraine's National Security Council writing, we expect to arrange Zelensky's visit to the US as soon as possible, and suggesting that it could happen in November, which of course is by the end of this week, to, quote, finalize the last points of the deal. Savannah?
All right, Keir, thank you so much. Well, after a volatile couple of weeks, there is some good news on Wall Street this morning. The U.S. market kicked off Thanksgiving week with a strong day, thanks to growing optimism ahead of the Federal Reserve's upcoming decision on interest rates. The tech-heavy NASDAQ was up nearly 600 points. The S&P 500, Dow, they made some promising gains as well. So what's causing this Wall Street whiplash? What does it mean for your money? We just love to ask that question to our friend, NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans. You're here with all the answers, right?
Sort of.
What's causing all the whiplash? How many times have we asked you that? Okay, so a few days ago, we were talking about these dives on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Specifically, we had some really interesting conversations about the concerns around an AI bubble.
That's right.
Then we saw this strong earnings report from NVIDIA sort of calmed some of those fears. Walk us through the back and forth that we've seen.
There's been a lot more volatility recently than usual, and last week was a tough week for the markets, and really for the month the major stock averages are down, but then this bounce back, an AI rebound yesterday. So there was some enthusiasm in some of these stocks. There are some individual stock moves, but mostly that whole sector just bounced back yesterday. And that NASDAQ, that was the best day since May for the NASDAQ. So a feeling that some of the pessimism over the AI trade was overdone, and then you had this reversal yesterday.
So now the question is, how does that impact the upcoming Fed meeting? It was not always like it's still never a foregone conclusion, right? Until you're in the room, until you hear it's happening. But we were like, will we see another one? Now it's like, maybe we will.
So another part of that rally yesterday was the idea that maybe the Fed would be able to cut interest rates when it meets in December. Now, remember, the Federal Reserve, those policymakers are pretty much flying blind here because they've got this dearth of data because of the government shutdown. So we're getting bits and pieces and scraps of information. But 2 different Fed governors or Fed officials have basically said they would be open to considering another rate cut. Of course, lower rates, good for inflation or interest rate sensitive sectors like tech, and also good for family budgets. So that was part of the enthusiasm yesterday as well.
Family budgets, that's such a concern. I mean, this time of year, you're thinking about how much you're going to spend on holidays, all that type of stuff. You see the market flip and flop. You've got 62% of Americans' money in the markets. Think about how much of that is people's retirements. You're good at telling us to hold through it, because you pointed out to me the other day, if you would have sold thinking there was an AI bubble, how bummed would you be? How much would you have lost? Walk us through the advice here.
Normal people who are saving for retirement or saving for a down payment on a house shouldn't be buying and selling trading stocks based on a one-day move like that. You need to have a plan. You need to figure out how much you want to have in stocks, bonds, and how much you want to have in cash, how much you want to be investing, and buying stocks at regular intervals and holding on to them.
buying and holding is super boring. And it works. So I wouldn't get too freaked out about the markets here right now. We could have more volatility into the end of the year, quite frankly, because you've got the indecision about the Fed. You also have a consumer that says they feel terrible. Consumer sentiment's very, very weak. But the National Retail Federation is expecting the first holiday season for $1 trillion in spending. Wow. So people are still spending their money. I would just, tread carefully, but don't freak out.
All right, there you go. You heard it from Christine herself. Thanks, Christine. Good to see you. Well, there's much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including how AI could soon be used to keep your airport luggage on course and on time. Up first, though, after the break, what is behind a worrying rise in porch package thefts this holiday season and the steps you can take to keep your precious cargo in the right hands? That's next. We are back now with a trend that might be concerning if you plan on doing all your holiday shopping online. Officials have now shut down a ring of so-called porch pirates on New York's Long Island. It comes as the Suffolk County DA says 14 people have been indicted for allegedly using, get this, inside information to target deliveries of cell phones and other pricey items. Joining us now for more is NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda. Emily, insider information. Good morning.
Yeah, we are talking about real-life Grinches. Prosecutors say they've put a stop to the prolific porch pirate scheme behind hundreds of stolen cell phones and other electronic devices. The criminal enterprise putting a spotlight on package theft ahead of the holiday season as millions of gifts begin to arrive at doorsteps nationwide.
'Tis the season for holiday deliveries, but this year police are on the lookout for real-life Grinches or porch pirates who swipe packages from your home.
This is the third time this has happened. What has our society come to?
And now officials in New York fighting back, announcing 14 people have been indicted for an alleged sophisticated porch pirate criminal enterprise behind almost 50 thefts over the last 2 years, saying these videos show the gang in action, from robbing a FedEx delivery driver in broad daylight to stealing packages from people's front doorsteps just moments after they were delivered and making a seamless getaway in a waiting vehicle. The DA saying the alleged culprits had targets in mind.
Specifically phones would be delivered to a particular location at a particular time under a particular name. So they would be there waiting for it.
The group's ringleader allegedly provided a network of runners with insider FedEx information, including recipient names, addresses, device types, and tracking numbers from shipments from Verizon and AT&T. In a statement, FedEx writing that law enforcement and the shipping industry are working together to crack down on this kind of crime. It's not the first spate of bold package thefts.
It's a crime of opportunity. It's a low-risk crime.
With thieves in the past approaching houses, wearing everything from bunny ears to this porch pirate dressed as a garbage bag. According to one estimate, package thieves across the country stole more than $8 billion worth of online orders over the past year, as Americans protect their precious holiday gifts this season.
It's so irritating. What am I supposed to do? Never order anything again?
Oh, gosh, I went through this even in an apartment building, so I know that feeling of, do you never order something again? If this does happen to you, if your package is stolen, what can you do?
Okay, well, this is where technology really plays a key role. If you want to better secure your doorstep, if you will, consider those motion-activated lights or doorbell ring cameras that we see so frequently. That can deter some of the crime. But if you actually do think you are the victim of a theft, contact the seller, ask for a replacement, and then also notify your local police, even if it's something of low value, because it's important for them to see any kind of possible pattern or trend to keep an eye on, and then, of course, notify your neighbors so that they can have a good heads up on that as well.
Oh, gosh, good tip there. All right, Emily, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Well, this morning, we're also going behind the scenes to see how AI is making sure luggage gets from one plane to another and hopefully to your final destination without getting stuck in luggage purgatory. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has the details.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. So, yeah, Delta Airlines now using AI to ensure that your bag, if it's being transferred from one flight to another, that it makes the appropriate connection. So instead of leaving that up to luggage handlers to pick up the bag and hopefully get to the right gate at the right time, the right plane, now AI is mapping everything out. Which driver, which plane, which gate, even mapping out the route on the airfield, kind of like a FedEx delivery plan, but in Atlanta.
Let me give you your gate pass, okay?
Early morning at the world's busiest airport. Bags are hitting the belts, planes pulling up outside. Passengers heading to their gates.
If you have more than 2 items, please consolidate before you're approaching the boarding area. Thank you.
And Michael Davis is on the ramp.
We have 6 bags to pick up, and we're going to Alpha 19.
For years, Delta's top baggage tug driver in Atlanta. Now, AI is kicking him into high gear.
I'm looking for Detroit, and I'm looking for Greenville.
The new software on their phones assigns each bag on every flight to individual drivers who rush it to the terminal or connecting flights, prioritizing those with the tightest connections, even routing the fastest way on the airfield.
AI puts everything in order for me, and it gives me the opportunity to prioritize which bags get delivered first to the plane.
Over the Thanksgiving period, Delta expects to carry 6.5 million passengers. And this is Delta's biggest hub. 40% of all of Delta's flights come through Atlanta. And during this period, they average 108,000 bags every day. The airline says AI has already improved luggage efficiency by 30%. More bags making their connections on time, fewer getting temporarily lost.
This is our Super Bowl.
Richard Cox runs Delta Airport Customer Service.
Think of it as a rideshare-like app that optimizes routes for our baggage transfer drivers. So think about tight connections, optimized routes. We make sure that our customers can travel with peace of mind.
In Atlanta, 250 drivers are constantly rushing between 153 gates, navigating around other tugs, catering and fuel trucks, and always yielding to planes. You've really got to have eyes in the back of your head out here.
Yes, sir. You got to keep your head on a swivel out here.
Head on a swivel with AI leading the way. Delta Airlines says that this is additive. It's not leading to layoffs with the luggage handlers. They still need people to pick up the bags and move the bags. But listen to this factoid. Delta says it handled 127 million bags worldwide last year. 127 million, fewer than 1%, somehow got detoured, and it's cutting into that even more thanks to AI. Savannah?
All right, Tom. Wow, that was fascinating, though. Thank you so much. Well, coming up, a real-life case of being in the right place at the right time. A terrifying car crash caught on camera, and the passerby doctor who leapt into action to save one man's life. That is next on Morning News Now. We are back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning. We're going to start with President Trump's overseas trip that could have major trade implications. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us now with more on that and other Washington headlines. Hey, Sahil.
Good morning, Savannah. We begin today in politics. President Trump announcing he will visit China in April after a phone call with Xi Jinping, and that he'll host the Chinese president for a state visit in Washington later on in the year. The president made on social media that he'll travel to Beijing, declaring the relationship between the contentious economic rivals to be extremely strong, in his words. This follows planned changes in trade policy between the two countries that include U.S. soybean purchases from China and China easing limits on rare earth minerals. The two leaders also discussed Russia's war in Ukraine and fentanyl, according to Trump. And in New Jersey, at least 11 Democrats have jumped into the race to replace Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill, who resigned her House seat late last week. They include a former congressman, a young progressive activist, a county commissioner, a veteran Army paratrooper, among others. The primary for the Democrats is set to take place on February 5th and the special election on April 16th. Democrats are favored to hold this northern New Jersey seat. And finally in Texas, author Vince Shlomi, the infomercial pitchman known as the Sham Wow Guy, is running for Congress as a Republican in the red district held by the Congressman John Carter, the 84-year-old incumbent who has said he is running for re-election. The Powell salesman told Fox on a platform to destroy wokeism and to make America happy. He's one of several candidates in that Republican primary. And that is where we begin today in politics. Savannah?
And that was not on my bingo card today. Sahil, thank you very much. All right, now to an incredible story out of Georgia. A doctor driving down a road missed his turn. That mistake put him in the right place at the right time to save another man's life. NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Yamas has this incredible story.
Surveillance video captures the terrifying moments. A car, out of control, flying over a curb. Then, seconds later, smashing into a wall. Dr. Kende Idowu saw it all happen. That's him, right there, jumping into action.
I followed chasing after the car.
His years of medical training kicking in.
I knew that time was of the essence. It was important that we got him out of the vehicle and started CPR as soon as possible.
The driver who crashed had gone into cardiac arrest behind the wheel.
This man probably had just seconds to live. This really was right place, right time, that a doctor like you was just behind him.
Yeah, some people have actually described it as more of a God instance for all the factors to occur. Not just me being there, for the staff that came out to help me get him out, for the police officers, the first responders who arrived, they had a defibrillator. I look back and think that I was supposed to make 2 left turns, but because I didn't, my GPS forced me to make a U-turn, and that's what led me to be at the right place at the right time.
That timing likely saving the man's life, who is now recovering.
Do you know how he's doing?
I do know that he's doing well. I'm waiting to make more contact with the family and maybe meet up in the very near future.
What do you want to tell him?
That his story inspires me, and I hope his story inspires other people with how God can move in different ways that we can't predict or get credit for.
Just amazing. Thanks to Tom for that report. Well, coming up, we've been talking about it all morning. Turkey Day, just 48 hours away. So after the break, it's a little bit of a tradition here on Morning News Now. We're going to give you a full rundown on everything you need to know to chef up your favorite dishes safely, and also some etiquette tips for a classy and civil Thanksgiving feast. If you were with us last year, you'll remember our next guest. That's up next. Stick around. Welcome back. Spotify listeners could soon add a little more green for their subscriptions. NBC's Emily Lorsch joins us with that and other money headlines for our Money Minute. Hey, Emily.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. That's right. Spotify is preparing to raise its U.S. subscription prices in the first quarter of next year, according to the Financial Times. Spotify has increased prices in several other countries in recent months, but it will be the company's first increase in the U.S. This comes as Spotify works to show sustained profitability. Analysts say even an increase of $1 each month could add $500 million in annual revenue for the company. And shipping costs could go up next year. The U.S. Postal Service proposed price increases for several services to help generate revenue. The price of priority mail shipments would go up by 6.6% on average, with the price of Priority Mail Express increasing by more than 5%, and Ground Advantage services hiking up nearly 8%. However, the price of a stamp would not go up under these changes. Once approved, the new prices would take effect starting on January 18th. Finally, a New York holiday tradition is shining bright again. Fifth Avenue has officially brought back its famous holiday light show after skipping last year. The campaign kicked off last night with a performance by the Rockettes. And now the display is up at the store's flagship location in Midtown Manhattan. The show runs every 10 minutes from 5 to 11 p.m. through early January, drawing crowds from across the country. Now, Savannah, with the windows, the light show, we are expecting our tree here at Rockefeller Center to be lit up next week. I think it's safe to say it's officially the holidays, right?
Oh, it's been the holidays, girl. Also, I will say, I feel like I gave you that last Money Minute item because I don't know if you saw on my Instagram yesterday. We get like a preview every morning when they're testing them out. When I'm here in the dark, you know, at 5 a.m. It's so cool. I love it. I can't wait. There you go. All right, Emily, thank you. All right, Thanksgiving, because it's the holiday season, right? It's just 2 days away now. But before you start cooking your bird and prepping the dishes for your big meal, we have some safety tips for you in the kitchen. NBC News Now anchor, Chief Consumer Investigative Correspondent, and our friend Vicki Wynn joins us with everything you need to know. Safe
Hi,
turkey
happy
time.
holidays.
Happy
Absolutely.
holidays.
November 1st comes and I'm ready for Christmas.
Oh my God.
I love Thanksgiving.
You know
it's
how
not
I
a
am.
decorating holiday. It's a food holiday, and it can remain that way.
Right.
But let's
There's
get
not
the Christmas
songs
decor
for
up.
Thanksgiving.
Oh,
There's
thank
you don't need like
no song for
leaves
Thanksgiving.
as decor. No.
Yeah,
It's
I'm sure someone's going to add us and send the one song. Happy Turkey Day.
There is
Happy
one.
Turkey Day. Yeah.
Somebody told me.
Oh, there is one. Okay. All right. Well, good morning to you. And we do want to keep your holiday fun, safe, and emergency free. So consider this: fire departments actually respond to more home cooking fires on Thanksgiving than any other day of the year. In fact, cooking is the leading cause of home fires year-round. So we had some safety experts show us how these fires start, from your stovetop to your turkey fryer. And as you are about to see, knowing exactly what to do can be life-saving.
It can happen in seconds. Cooking flare-ups becoming massive fireballs that can spread through your home at lightning speed.
How much time does someone have to address it and get out of the home?
Not a lot of time at all. Fire doubles in size every 30 seconds.
Matt Lemons is a lieutenant with the Summit, New Jersey Fire Department. We asked him to show us the most common cooking mistakes people make, especially on Thanksgiving, that can end in disaster. One of the most dangerous involves a popular holiday tool, the turkey fryer.
What do you see every Thanksgiving when it comes to people who deep fry turkeys?
So it's a problem nationwide with people doing it the wrong way, and unfortunately it does start fires.
His team standing by, Lemons demonstrated what can happen when you overfill your fryer with oil, don't fully defrost the turkey, then drop it in too quickly.
Whoa! When you have open flames like that can easily catch your house on fire, your garage. Very dangerous.
Yeah, it can have catastrophic effects. If you're standing right over it and you drop it in like that, you're going to be caught in that plume of smoke and fire.
Now watch the difference when Lemons uses the correct amount of oil and a fully thawed and dried bird, then slowly lowers it in with the propane gas burner turned off.
We don't want an open flame at the bottom of the burner, so if any oil does escape accidentally, contact with that open flame and then start a fire.
It's a critical step many forget. Turn off the gas before putting the turkey in. Safety experts say another common cause of home fires is leaving cooking pans unattended on a hot stove.
I walked back in the kitchen and my entire stove was in flames.
Hassana Scarborough says she was heating oil in a pan and had briefly stepped away when it erupted in fire. Luckily, she had an extinguisher and doused the blaze, but the damage was done.
We had to completely repair the entire kitchen.
In a stovetop fire, experts say don't panic, and if you're dealing with oil, never use water to put it out. Mama! Watch as Lemons pours just a small cup of water on an oil fire.
Whoa! That was shocking. What happened, Matt?
So when the water gets poured in, it displaces the oil out and it causes a fire.
Instead, he says keep a pan lid nearby and put it on at the first sign of flames.
It's going to smother the oxygen, can't continue to burn.
But fires aren't the only holiday cooking hazard. Every year, more than 100,000 people go to the ER with food prep injuries from knives. Lemon says when slicing and dicing, first, make sure your knife is sharp.
A sharp knife cuts through objects faster and you use less force, so you're less likely to slip off of something or slip and actually cut yourself.
A dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife.
A dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife.
For around $10, you can also buy Kevlar kitchen gloves like these that protect your hands.
The common mistake people make is to hold the object with their fingertips, but you should curl them back so that the knife is touching your knuckles.
Yes.
And before slicing round foods, he says cut them in half first, then continue with the flat side down.
Don't cook if you're under the influence of anything. Make sure that you're in a sober state of mind and that you're calm and that you're ready and you're prepared.
Good advice for keeping your holiday injury-free and from going up in flames.
Yeah, you do not
Holy
want
moly,
that. Another tip, don't keep anything flammable like a dish towel or a pot holder near your stove burners. I have a fire blanket. We keep it under the sink to smother any stove fires. Those are small. You can buy them online. Experts also recommend having a fire extinguisher in your kitchen. Easy to access and make sure everyone in the house knows where these things are and how to use them. Fire blanket, you just smother the fire, Savannah, and then with the fire extinguisher, remember the acronym PASS. So you pull the pin, you aim the nozzle, you squeeze the trigger, and you spread it so that, like,
Do all your girls know how to do this?
They do. They do. This actually,
Wow,
this
to
whole
be the
story-
daughter of Vicky.
We try to be prepared for all scenarios, Savannah.
Also, that was like really you went for it in that assignment.
Listen.
I was worried that flame was going to clear and you were going to be
We
missing
weren't
your
expecting
eyebrows.
that wind to just come and blow the flames right at me, but we were good. We were a safe distance away. We had firefighters nearby.
Now I'll
All
be
safe. I
safe.
still have my eyebrows. We're good. We're good.
Thank you, Vicky. Okay, we're staying on Thanksgiving, right? Gratitude, family, food, the cornerstones of the holiday for so many people. And this year, 94% of Americans say they do plan to celebrate the holiday, and more than half of us are going to be hosting a gathering. So whether you plan to have people over or celebrate in a friend or a family member's home, it's important to remember what Thanksgiving is all about. That's why we've got Mr. Manners. Oh my gosh, that sound effect. Our etiquette expert, Thomas Farley, he joins us now with some tips on how to be on your best behavior this holiday season, as he has for the last few years. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Thanksgiving. Wonderful, as always, to see you. So people are going to be spending this with a lot of people they might not see that often, or maybe it's like you only see them at Thanksgiving, you only see them at Christmas. So you got a lot to catch up on. Sometimes that means there's some topics you might not want to talk about, someone else might not want to talk about. What should we avoid?
That's right, Savannah, and good morning to you. You know, not all fires at Thanksgiving are caused by a deep fryer. Sometimes the fires we need to put out are the conversational ones. But I think truly there are some topics that we really want to steer clear of. And those, we often think about politics as one that we want to avoid at Thanksgiving time. And that one can be thorny. But I would say even more painful, those intrusive personal questions. So questions about family planning, about marriage, about weight loss. Have you lost weight? Are you on one of those weight loss drugs? Or have you put on weight? And of course, with politics, this one can be tricky, but I do think that it's important for all of us to be able to express our beliefs as long as we do so considerately and just not at the table where you might be holding the apolitical types hostage to your conversation with someone else.
Yeah, you gave some good examples of things not to ask there. Loved that. Thank you. Okay, how do you pivot if one of these things that you don't want to talk about comes up?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. You know, we think of just automatically trying to change the question, but some lines that you might use are, I can see why you might ask that, but for today, I really want to focus on all things positive, perhaps some other time, or I have to admit this topic makes me a little weary. Would you mind if we discuss something else?
Okay, wait, I love this next one. Oh my gosh. Wait, can we bring you back on camera to demonstrate?
Yeah. Savannah, interesting question. So, have you seen that Saks display on Fifth Avenue? It's gorgeous.
That's a good one. That would make me change course. Okay, got it.
It will make anybody feel uncomfortable. They will never ask you an awkward question again, I promise.
What are some Mr. Manners approved talking points? Let's talk about the other side of this. What should you bring up?
Sure. So I think streaming platforms are and shows, movies that you're watching, these are great topics.
Ooh, good one.
Maybe it's someone who's away at college, asking them how their college experience has been so far. We want to, at Thanksgiving, we want to bring the gratitude, not the grouch. So if your question seems like it's a needling one, or even, frankly, a boring one, don't talk about the traffic. Don't talk about the delays at the airport. Don't talk about complaints about the price of food. Candidly, we don't need that at Thanksgiving. This is a time to be with people that we love, to be the best version of ourselves, and to bring out the best version of others through wonderful, insightful conversation.
All right, quickly run us through our do's and don'ts as guests at somebody else's house.
Sure. So don't bring someone unannounced. You're going to clear any +1s with the host. You don't want to arrive late because Thanksgiving meal, it's like a ballet. You want to ensure that you are arriving within 10 to 20 minutes of the event time itself. Remember, you're not at a restaurant. Who's going to be clearing your plate? You should be clearing your own. And the host tells you, I'm good in the kitchen. Please just go enjoy. You take that as an order. We don't want to crowd because we know how precious that kitchen space can be, especially when you got all burners going and a full kitchen sink. You sometimes need that domain strictly for yourself as host.
As the host, I reminders to my guests, especially that if somebody brought a +1 without clearing it, I would not be happy about that. My place settings matter. Thank you so much, Mr. Manners, for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Savannah. Always a pleasure.
Good to see you. Thanksgiving right around. But we are going to take a quick step back into season because it's officially the end of an era this week for Netflix's biggest of all time. When Morning News Now returns, we're taking you to the real Georgia town. Stranger Things ahead of the premiere of part 1 of its final season tomorrow. Stay with us. That's next. We are ending this hour with a look at the hit Netflix show Stranger Things. You might be a fan. Part 1 of the show's 5th and final season drops on the streaming platform tomorrow. In honor of its last season, we are getting to see how Netflix turned one small southern town upside down. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas is here with more. She took a visit. Chloe, good morning.
Savannah, this was one of my coolest assignments. I traveled to Jackson, Georgia, and I'm a Georgia girl myself, to see how this quaint southern town has embraced all things Stranger Things and their thoughts on the series coming to an end.
Hawkins is in danger.
One of Netflix's biggest series of all time, Stranger Things, now entering its 5th and final season.
We end this once and for all, together.
The series, set in the 80s, follows a group of friends trying to save the town of Hawkins, Indiana, from the evil monsters of the Upside Down, a creepy, crawly universe beneath their hometown. But this is the real Hawkins. Welcome to Jackson, Georgia.
Thousands of fans flock to this quiet southern town of just 5,000 every year to experience the supernatural series for themselves. From tours of iconic filming locations,
This would have been this shot right here from one of the earlier seasons, right?
recreated set pieces,
11, are you there?
to costume contests.
Another mag.
Demogorgon
Yes,
rigs,
yes.
right? Inspired by the show.
Even a Stranger Things themed wedding, which was right up Lynn and Grayshmar's alley.
When we first met, we started talking about what kind of music we like, what kind of movies, series. And then when she mentioned Stranger Things, I was off the bat like, oh my God, Stranger Things sounds like me. And it's just something that's bonded a lot with us.
You all have just transformed this town into Stranger Things.
We have. You look around, the whole block over here is decorated like it was back in the 80s.
Local couple Hannah and Cameron Thompson run meeting fans of all generations who come for the frights, the friendship, and the nostalgic nods to 80s pop culture, from the Goonies to E.T.
We get to give an opportunity for parents to teach their kids how they were kids.
And I couldn't leave without getting in on some of the Stranger Things activities, escaping the Upside Down.
Oh, guys, I found something.
Visiting one of the most recognizable sets.
I'm standing inside the Byers house right now, one of the most iconic sets from Stranger Things. I'm sure you recognize this wall here behind me. This is now an Airbnb. You can actually stay here.
I even got a sneak peek of the library, a key location in the upcoming season.
This is a big part of season 5, isn't it?
Yes, if you look on the teaser trailer, go look, and this is going to be very important this season.
I just know it's going to be amazing. I've seen the trailers.
While there's excitement, there's also sadness.
We're devastated it's over. We've grown very close to all these characters.
Stranger Things is here to stay.
Okay, so before Stranger Things, this town was mostly just empty storefronts, and the ones that were struggling for business, and now this town is bustling. When the show happens, they see a spike in tourism in the town, about 12%, and it's really helped revitalize. I have to tell you, they just embrace the show. Whether you watch it or you don't, they love it. Even though the series is ending, Stranger Things is here to stay in Georgia.
Love it. All right, thank you, Chloe. And that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.